Three, two, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to our opening premiere of Under the Willow Tree, this storytelling space. Right now, I just want to invite you in to have a seat with my very beautiful goddess friend, Sharon Angelina, our storyteller for the evening. Grab a cup of tea, a blanket, get cozy, relax, and join us here in this space. Real quick, I want to acknowledge the beautiful energy of the willow tree, of Grandmother Willow, and her beautiful purpose on this earth, a place that grievers have gone for a long time, broken hearts, a place where poets and artists go for inspiration. She receives her codes and her messages from the beautiful water. She gives shade, a place for children to laugh and play. This is our safe space. This is our story space. And Sharon Angelina and I invite you in to be here with us today.
And we welcome you. And thank you, Willow, for inviting me to the first one. I'm so excited. It was a year ago when I drew that picture for you of the willow tree and the pillow and the blanket and the cup of tea. And here I am. Wow. Way to go, girl.
Way to go. Way to go,
Man,
girl. You. I think you wrote yourself in our story here.
I guess so. I signed that. I signed the picture. I'm part of it. Yay.
Yeah. So this like all of creation starts with a seed, right? Mm-hmm. An idea, a spark. And during the pandemic and the shutdown, I used that time to anchor myself into the ground. And I had just returned 1 week from graduating from my Death Doula Academy. I returned and the entire world shut down.
Wow.
And then I now had a title of Death Doula that I did not know what to do with. I have a certification. It says a thing. And now as a collective, we all just get faced with our mortality.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like that together. Right. And here I am. And I'm like, what do I do with all of this? Well, what I did was I laid on the ground a lot. And I sang and I made art and I blissed out. I lived the way I always wanted to with my children and cooking beautiful food. And it did become a heaven on earth, but I'm so grateful that I had the space in the apple orchard of where I was raised, and I had the opportunity to come in and care for my Aunt Florence, who had dementia. My uncle had passed away, and she was living alone on the property that I was raised on by my Nana, my favorite person on earth. And it was really quite the most beautiful and remarkable time of my life. And terrifying all at once. And my roots grew deeper. I was trying to grow dreadlocks. I limped out on that. It got too itchy for me. And I ended up shaving my whole head. If you know me, you know that's not unusual.
Yeah.
But But during this massive event, I don't know what I would have done had I not found my roots and had this essence of the willow tree not come through me. Now, ironically, this afternoon, I actually haven't been feeling very well. Some call it ascension symptoms. Maybe it's our weather is starting to shift from summer into fall. It could be many things. My energy was very zapped today, and all I could do was lay around and drink tea, which there are far worse things for me in the world to do. I'm quite good at that. But I decided to look into the willow trees some more and discover the truths about that as I'm on a self-discovery. Who am I, and what is my place in this world, and what am I about? And some of those things that I shared in the beginning as we're calling in the energy of this willow tree to comfort us were the things that I said about grievers coming and the poets and the artists. And I just thought, wow, I just had this moment of oh my goodness, this is it. This is the energy of this that I get to walk with. This is one of my medicines that I get to walk with and share. So it is an honor. It is an honor to bring the medicine of the willow tree here as we embark together as a collective to the unknown, right? And how are we going to do that? And it's going to be together. It's really going to be together and connected. And one of the ancient practices of humanity is storytelling.
Yes.
Storytelling. It's how we pass down the knowledge of our ancestors. And for many of us, this is a tough thing, depending on your culture, depending on where you're from, depending on so much where you are in the world. And so I know for me being a, Caucasian, Midwestern, I'm really digging. I'm who am I? And I'm having to dig, and my parents are digging, and we're all digging, and we're finding our roots. And I've been around the Great Lakes for a long time up in Canada, and then Ireland. So the Celtic is really big, and Celtic folklore and storytelling is magnificent. And all of our cultures have magnificent storytelling, and it's medicine. It's very important.
Storytelling, singing, music, art, drumming, dancing, all of those things that are expression, artistic expression is kind of a cliche thing to say, but we can't lose the idea that it's expression on a very emotional level that gets across to other people things that words and logic doesn't cover. Storytelling is a great place to start. So this is a good idea. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone came out of COVID with stories. And a friend of mine pointed out the other day, we're not talking about it enough. I feel like we collectively aren't talking about what we went through, maybe at all. Some people maybe are wanting to just put it behind them and not think about it. What was a really sort of dig down and be cozy time for you and me was also a terrible time for other people. Some people lost their entire livings. Some people lost their lives. It was such a shakeup on so many levels. So right now, I just want to say that while I can speak of, when I speak of COVID, I can speak of a lot of really good things. That's not to disregard those who suffered.
Correct.
We hold them in this sacred space just as much.
Correct.
And we tell our stories so they can hear them too.
Yes.
And maybe some of them will come on here and tell their stories. This is a great idea. I'm so happy to be here. Wow.
Thank you for answering the call. Thank you for being one of the most bravest people in my life.
Aw.
I know I got to share this with you at Starwood, but I want to say it one more time. Sharon Angelina is that friend that you say, I have this crazy idea. And she says, I'm going to go get my boots and our shit bucket. Let's go.
Literally,
we did that together. Let's
Oh, the
go. Where are we
boots.
going? Okay,
It's
we got a
true.
plan. Do we have a plan? What's our plan? She says. She's a plan girl. And this idea came to me under the willow tree a year ago. And I said to her, you're a beautiful artist. Would you draw something for the podcast? I was going to do a podcast. I wanted a little thumbnail. And she's like, I don't know. It might take me a while. Mind you, we're at a Mary Magdalene feast at the breakfast table. And she's just like, anybody got a pencil and a scrap piece of paper or whatever? And it was just like, she just sits there at breakfast and I think it was less than 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
she's like, what do you think about this? And it was like the first one. And I'm like, it's done.
Yep.
That's it. That's our thumbnail.
That's it.
So
there you go.
yes. So when the guests are coming on, that piece of art there, that is very special seed that, yes, thank you so much. Well, I actually am going to stop talking now and give you the space to tell about yourself and to go into your story. This is your time.
Thank you. I just moved back to Indiana, Northwest Indiana from Michigan, where I lived since, I started moving into Michigan in early 2020 when I bought a tiny house. It was a shed, actually, a portable shed. It's not a tiny house on wheels. It has to be professionally moved. And so it's kind of complicated. I wanted a really simple life off grid. And the red tape and bureaucracy around having a tiny house is so complicated. It really is silly. It doesn't need to be so complicated to just exist in a building, on a piece of property somewhere and not be bothering anybody. But I tried the off-grid lifestyle for 2.5 years and I loved every minute of it. I didn't always get along with my landlords, but that's life. And my little house is still sitting in Michigan on the property of a dear friend who's letting me store it there, not live in it. Store it indefinitely, and it may be sold, or it may come back to Indiana with me somewhere and become a part of a bigger collective. And I'm excited to see the Great Lakes Rose Temple happen, and I'm really amazed to be part of that too, which was your idea, your baby, your blooming rose birthing beautiful. Just this vision and mission that you carry is so powerful. It's already drawing so much energy to it. So I'm really excited to be part of that. But during in 2020, when I bought this tiny house and started building it out, and finishing the interior, COVID was happening. We all had to wear masks, and then we had to wear 2 masks, and then we had to not be near each other. And it was so isolating. And then in other ways, it drew everybody together in different ways. And it left an impact on me, but it really impacted my daughter. So my story tonight is about the roller coaster of life in general, and how we navigate that, and how we can be jaded by the things going on around us, and kind of where are we at now? What's happening? I feel like for a long time now, especially through 2022, there was a very strong sense when I would speak to people. It was vague, but it was also a strong sense of, I don't know what's going on politically and socially, and where are we headed? We're really on the cutting edge of a new kind of history that we've never seen before. So I will go into my story and share with you Zen and the Art of Rollercoaster Maintenance. I borrowed that from the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, which was a popular book for many years, that I tried to read. And it was very deep and almost like too much for me when I tried to read it. I should pick it up again. But it was Zen Buddhism as told by a man who worked on his motorcycle and used it as a meditation. That was partly what it was about. So the roller coaster is everything. Between the years of 1998 and 2008, I taught natural birth classes. I was a natural birth teacher, one of my many hats. I taught the Bradley method, and Dr. Robert Bradley developed the Bradley method in the 1940s, long before Lamaze. If anyone in the natural birth world knows what Lamaze is, it's the reason women like pant while they're in labor. But the Bradley is different, and there are two big differences between the Bradley method and Lamaze. One is that the Bradley method provides thorough education to both parents about natural childbirth. And the second thing is it teaches women to imitate the behavior of animals in labor. So instead of panting and focusing outside the body, the Bradley method teaches students to trust the process, trust nature, relax, tune into the body's instincts, and breathe naturally like most laboring mammals do. So no distracting, no unnecessary interventions at all. And usually 95% or so of Bradley moms get through labor without any drugs. So my students were taught to plan carefully, but prepare for variations. And there are going to be variations. Unexpected, hoped against, and sometimes harmless, but sometimes serious. We can't control it, but we can surf it. So I taught my students in birth to ride the waves of contractions, the peaks and the valleys of the birth event, and then eventually the ups and downs of raising a new baby, raising a child. So recently, I recalled a quote from an old birth video that used to get a laugh from my students. The teacher in the video says, "Didn't you learn when the sperm hit the egg that you have control over nothing?" They say that when you're over the hill, you pick up speed. I used to laugh at that, but what I'm beginning to understand is that life is picking up speed. And not just for us older folks, young people too are feeling the overwhelm of constant busyness. And this is an age of like over information and overstimulation. The more I understand about life, the older I get, the more I must admit, I don't know. I don't know. And the more I realize I have control really over nothing. Somehow that adds to the relative velocity of the hill. The speed is picking up. I'm not over the hill yet, I don't think. But I'm starting to realize that life is a series of hills and valleys. Hills that we have no control over, kind of like a roller coaster. At first it's fun because you have no idea what you're in for. When we're young adults, the valleys in between the hills can even feel boring. But then when you're older, after enough headlines about amusement park accidents, and it hits you how this contraption is actually built by humans that make mistakes, and you start looking at your frayed seatbelt and how this thing's being held together with these dodgy nuts and bolts that are flying past you. At some point, the roller coaster of life makes you put your arms down and stop saying, "wee." In fact, you start holding your breath. I found myself recently at that point fully realizing I have control over nothing, but without the excited anticipation that I used to feel. I found myself holding my breath. When was that? Maybe it was during COVID. Looking back, I think during those long 2 years and more, it felt like the whole world was holding its breath. And so remember being a kid, eager to grow up because adults knew everything. Grown-ups knew how to solve problems and fix things. But then we transition into adulthood, feeling at a loss a lot of the time. We feel like we're gonna try, but we don't quite know a lot of what is going on. And we realize we have control over even less. How old were you when you realized that as far as running the world, most adults really don't 100% know what they're doing most of the time? How old were you when you realized you were one of them? One day during the height of COVID, while driving in the car, I took the opportunity to ask my 11-year-old what she wanted to study. She was homeschooled with no set curriculum, and we would find what most captures her interest at the time, and then we would build a unit around that. So this particular day, I took advantage of these few stolen moments in the car, in the quiet car, to pose my question. And at first she replied like a typical preteen, I don't know. So I asked her the old, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said, it doesn't matter. The world is going to end soon anyway. So, yay. Before I could even ask her why she thought the world was going to end soon, I had to acknowledge her feelings. I said, you must feel really uncertain about the future and your life. And she said, yes. And she was so shut down. I knew it was pointless to try and draw her out or talk any further. So we drove on and the conversation was dropped. But her jaded and hopeless resignation haunted me. I sat uncomfortably with myself and looked at the world of adults through her eyes. The world she is growing up into. And it was dismal. Never mind the confusion of COVID alone, where she instantly, overnight, lost all of her school friends, her whole school experience, and all of her school friends, she has not seen them again. The 2 years of COVID made up 1/5 of her entire life at that point. There's been this thin veneer of assurance on the world for decades that advertises, we know what we're doing. Like, look, we put a man on the moon. But this is also the world where drone strikes killed untold numbers of civilians. Oil and chemical spills permanently wreck the environment. Plastic is choking ocean life. City authorities in America regularly bulldoze entire homeless encampments. And people who can't afford insulin may die because insulin manufacturers can charge without any restrictions legally. That's just for starters, because the list goes on and on. Abuse of power, carelessness, greed. It seems what little we do have control over, the ones in control aren't controlling themselves at all. It's so sad to think that my now 13-year-old has already traded the wee of the roller coaster for a sarcastic yay. The speed and overwhelm is already overtaking the innocence of my youngest child and flooding her with cynicism and impending doom. And yet she handles it like we all deal, trying to, I guess, ignore that sense of dread most of the time while we're searching for the new normal. I recall my preteen worldview, and compared with hers, I'm conflicted. On one hand, I admire her resilience, her courage. On the other hand, I dearly desire for her to unlearn what she fears to be true, that the future of her generation is confused and shakier than any other time in human history. And really, we're all in it. Riding this roller coaster feels harder than ever before. The security of our grandparents' generation is gone. The social and financial stability of our parents' generation seems just unrealistic. We're required to be adaptable, flexible, make a good plan, but be prepared to trash it if necessary. And then on top of it all, who do you trust anymore? Politicians, leaders, our leaders lie. The news media no longer informs us. It just sensationalizes and distracts us. Experts disagree with one another. The peaks and valleys seem farther apart than ever. Things are more out of control than we have words for, and there is no end in sight. I have heard so many people over the past 3 years say, I can't do this anymore. That sounds familiar to me somehow. Bradley method. In that birth method, we teach dads to be doulas. They learn to listen to their women in labor. So at the end of labor, during what's called transition, the undrugged birthing mother is at her limit. The contractions have reached their peak, and she feels she just can't take anymore. She says things like, I can't do this. It's unbearable. I'm done. That is a fascinating psychological phenomenon happening during transition. The woman is letting go of the pregnancy and allowing her baby to emerge. She is in transition from being a pregnant woman to being a new mother. When she says she can't do this, she's not wrong. She can't hold on to the baby anymore. It must be born. And she has no control. It's happening. She cannot stop these contractions, these peaks and valleys. She can't know for sure if she or her baby will survive this. Most healthy mothers and babies do, but there are no guarantees. The outcome is hoped for, but unknowable. And then there's a birth. In my 10 years of teaching, all the mothers and babies survived and in good health. All of my parents reported a satisfying birth experience, even when the unexpected happened, because they were aware and they had support. When the mothers said, I can't do this, they were surrounded by people who listened, gave them space to have that doubt without rushing in to save them or without rushing in to fix it. They were surrounded by people who carried, you can do it, for them when they felt they could not. And they kept breathing. So there are no guarantees, but there are choices. We have the choice to acknowledge the fear and let it be uncomfortable. Let it push on us for a while without trying so hard to solve it. We have the choice to ask for help. The choice to look for connections instead of distractions, connections instead of addictions. I have to start with myself. I have to be willing to feel my own feelings and be in my own body right now. Whenever now means all the now, right? Right now, all the time. That may be the only thing I have control over. I'm learning that since we understand that everything is vibration and frequency, everything is waves. And what is a wave? It's a peak in a valley. Everything is made out of roller coasters. This will always be true. There will always be the roller coaster. There will always be the next hill and the next valley. There will always be contractions. Maybe we are in transition. Maybe this uncontrollable roller coaster we're on is bringing us to a new birth. It feels overwhelming, unbearable, and we can't see the end of it. It feels so shaky, so full of mistakes, and beyond control. Sometimes we don't know if we'll survive. But we can hold one another's hands. We can hold space. We can stop trying to fix things and just let it be for now. We're all going through this, which means we're all in this together. These roller coasters. Roller coasters are supposed to be fun. When did the roller coaster stop being fun? We got this. You can do it. Keep breathing. Whee! Put your arms up. Whee!
We are definitely feeling these contractions, sister. We are feeling these contractions as a collective. Wow.
We're being squeezed every which way. Our economy is squeezing us, and pandemic fear is squeezing us, and separation and anxiety and emotional issues and mental health issues and this housing crisis, it's all squeezing us. And we can't have a peak unless we have a bottom. Just wait it out. Relax.
That surrender moment. That surrender moment. We can't take it anymore. And then what happens? It's like, okay, just breathe. I really feel like I was feeling those contractions today, a lot of nausea and just needing to rest and lay there and breathe and continue to try to think positive and not focus on the negatives in my life. They wanted to take over me, and I was able to center with my prayer, with my light, messages from my partner, my petting dog.
Yeah.
And I centered and breathed.
Yep.
And drank hot beverages.
Yeah, that's nice. Having a little something to focus on too, and feeling it going in, feeling yourself absorbing it. Just anything.
And the light. The light. I lit my candle and spat out the garbage because it needed to come out. Right. I had all the doubt and all the fear bubbling up today, and it had to go somewhere. So I gifted to the light.
Right. Good. Yeah, that shadow, right? The shadow that we were for so long. Oh no, the light only, and get rid of the shadow and banish. And no, bring it in and sit with it.
Yeah.
Ask it what are you here to teach me? What do I need to hear? You keep popping up. So what do I need to hear? Allow and invite and let it. Don't resist it. Just be with it. It's going to feel crappy. That's okay. It's going to feel uncomfortable. That's okay.
Uncomfortable. That's an important word. After a ceremony one night, we were all talking, and one of the people I was talking to was like, and that feels bad, and this feels bad, and that feels bad. And I'm like, well, maybe not bad, maybe uncomfortable, because we want to judge it. We've been trained to judge the things. But really, we call them bad because they just make us super uncomfortable. It's not necessarily what we want to feel or what we want to do, or maybe what we even wanted to go through,
Right.
but we did.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But wow, that was really amazing. And I honestly,
Thank
like,
you.
we didn't talk a lot about your story a little bit this morning as we were having our little morning girly wake up chat. And wow, that's
Yeah.
really beautiful. Now, was that, you wrote that from your blog?
That was from my blog, which is down right now, SharonAngelina.site, SITE. Yeah, I just blog about my views about life in general and the way I see things working. And I blogged a little about my tiny house, but it's going to be back up. I'm going to get another hosting company and get it back up there because I like to write.
Time for a rebirth, you know?
Yeah.
It seems to be a theme right now. Tell us a little bit more about you as an artist. You wear many hats. Tell us about your hats. I love your hats.
Do. Thank you. I actually wrote, the other piece that I thought about reading was my blog post about how when I was growing up, I was discouraged from being an artist. My mom was very strict and she did not want me to be an artist. She did not really want me to draw and paint, and I wasn't allowed to take art classes in high school. I had to take a study hall instead of an art class. And for years I denied being an artist. I know I'm not an artist. No. They're like, you're so good, you draw and you're really good and you draw portraits of people. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist. So it's been a journey for me of allowing myself to be an artist after years of being told, no, you can't. I worked at an art center. I ran an art center in Valparaiso, Indiana for 3 years, and I lived there, and I'm going back to teach classes there. I love to teach everybody that they can be an artist. So one day I'll come back and tell that story about how I am an artist and everybody can. It's not some secret club that only talented people get to be in. Everybody has art. Art is a verb. Everybody expresses in some way. And everybody can do that. And my birthing community and my birthing journey was an art. I had 3 home births with a midwife. My 3 oldest boys were born at home, and I learned all about how doula work and midwifery, and learning to be a really engaged birthing mother is like art. It's like dance. It's just really everything we do can be art. It's not an isolated thing. It's like everything we do is prayer. All of our thoughts and words are like prayers. It's what we're telling the universe, whether it's good for us or not. We're saying, this is what I am, this is what I want. And it's our artistic expression is the same way. I put stickers on my car window. That's art. I'm expressing myself, you know. And I sing a little song while I'm vacuuming.
Yeah.
And you sing songs too. I'm watching our time. I don't know if you can see a clock. I want to make sure we have time. I want to hear the 3 bears before we go.
All right. Let me get some more tea here.
If you're ready. Well, whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
The first time I heard you sing this song, it was at the open mic at Thousand Suns. And I was floored. I did not know you could sing it up until that moment. And you sang so well. I was like, wow, I wish I had her voice. It was amazing.
What?
You sang a cappella without any music even. It was amazing. Yeah.
Well,
this girl, she can sing.
Thank you. I love to sing. I've been singing all my life. It's my connection to my mother. And the one thing there's many things, but the one thing that I love the most about my childhood is my mom is the most incredible storyteller, and she will be on the show, which I'm super excited about.
Looking forward.
In October, the last Thursday in October, my mom's going to be sharing ghost stories.
Yay.
She is a spirit medium, but growing up with a medium was not as fun as it might seem. And I used ghost stories to scare all my friends. So my mom's going to come on and share some of these stories. They're really great. But my mom's a singer. My mom is from the 50s and 60s era, and she was kind of that lollipop bubblegum singer. And so she knew all the fun rhymes and all the fun songs and the Beach Boys and all the Beatles and all of that.
Nice.
So I was raised in that kind of bubblegum culture. It was really fun. And, she would sing songs to us and she would read us stories. My mom is an amazing storyteller. So this is the story of the three bears. Once upon a time in a wee little cottage lived the three bears. Cha. One was the papa bear, one was the mama bear, one was the baby bear. Cha. One day they went walking in the deep woods, talking when along came a little girl with blonde hair. Her name was Goldilocks. On the papa door she knocked, but no one was there. No one was there. So she went right in and had herself a ball. She didn't care. No, she didn't care. She went upstairs and had a nap. Home came the three bears. Cha. Someone been eating my porridge, said the papa bear. Someone been eating my porridge, said the mama bear. A bumble wee bear, said the little wee bear. Someone has broken my chair. Crash at once. Goldilocks woke up, broke up, and beat it out of there. Goodbye, bye, said the papa bear. Goodbye, bye, said the mama bear. A bumble wee bear, said the little wee bear. That's the story of three little bears. Ba da di da di da 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 di da 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 da.
She noped out.
She noped out of there.
Oh, I love it.
She's having so much fun until she realized it wasn't her place.
It was not, there was no consent given.
No consent.
She'd be trespassing.
Out of there. Oh my God. So good. This was amazing fun. We've got, what do we got? Like 15 minutes left. Let's do a couple little plugs. First plug right here. I've got the Rising Phoenix Award mug. Ironically, I grabbed my hot tea this morning, grabbed this mug. Inspiration through story.
Oh, wow.
Inspiration through story. This is the Intentional Living Community TILC here in Ann Arbor. They have built a space for community to honor community in their rising phoenix moments, rising from the ashes and telling their stories. And they put on a night for them and they give them awards, and it is really beautiful. I had the pleasure to go and help set up last year, this year's actually. And what an honor that was. And they're working on a program called EOS. It is a social networking community that it's not just spirituality, it's literally every kind of connection and service that humanity could need, could need. And they believe that through resources and support and connection and community, that we can rise together as one Phoenix. And so Lauren and I are both ambassadors. So it's like made of 17 life transition parts of them. I don't have them all memorized, but I'm the ambassador of grief. And so I will be learning and finding out and connecting and networking with where our people can go for extra grief counseling, connecting. And there's even groups inside of it where we can connect with each other and just talk and hang out. There's invitations. The capability is beautiful and amazing. The work that they've put into it is unbelievable. And it's really quite an amazing ship to be a part of. So huge plug.
How do you find out about them? Do they have a website?
Yes. The Intentional Living community, you can look up, and then it's elosportal.com. You can .org. Sorry, got that wrong. elosportal.org is where you can go to check it out. It's created, it's beautiful, but we're working out it's in the beginning stages. So all the little bugs, if there's anything like that, they're working all the tech stuff out, but it is beautiful. And later there will be app capabilities and things like that. We are on the front runner of this, and there are already so many connections, and it's awesome. Really heart-blowing and mind-blowing. There's so many beautiful people out here doing so many beautiful things. And so to be a part of it is just wonderful. And then the Great Lakes Rose Temple.
Yeah.
This energy that is coming through, that has been inspired from participating at Red Tents, being with women in sisterhood, the womb keepers, the goddesses of our land, of our sacred lands here in Michigan, has been the most inspiring thing that's happened to me in my life. I met Angelina there. She and I share a grief story. And that is we know when we meet people like that and we can say, I truly understand. There is so much healing in empathy and in really understanding. And so the idea is that it isn't just about Michigan, but the Great Lakes, our sacred fresh waters, are, they're even called small seas. They are amplifiers. Water is amplifiers. And if we think about the greatest rock and roll era, the Motown, Detroit, music is huge here. And Chicago, it blows blues up and it amplifies to the world. Our consciousness from the Great Lakes and our states surrounding the Great Lakes, not just Michigan, but around, like how you use the mitt, not just Michigan. I love that about us. Yeah. Where do you live?
Right here.
Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Not just Michigan. We want to connect with the lands that touch the Great Lakes waters.
Yeah.
And the people. We are one people. We are all one people of this world, but we have a consciousness where we're at, right? This is where I'm at. This is my piece of the puzzle. Right. And so, fundraising, grant money, resources, funding. This is what is coming through. And then also, speaking on behalf of our waterways, our land, learning the respects for each other and how to be in community, allowing the womb keepers to be the womb keepers and the messengers, just like we have been on this land forever. We share the the amniotic fluid through our womb space, that's our chanupa, that's our sacred right to be here, to receive these sacred messages of our land, of what we need to heal, to grow, to be together. All of it's here. All the codes are here. She's as she's rebirthing and earthing up and new earthing, whatever your term is that you like and you use, rebirthing. Anyways, we're getting them too. But listen to the womb keepers, to the women. And but it's not just about us. This is about like all of us together and working together as community, and how we all need each other. And so midwifing the veils, midwifing this transition period, coming together and seeding this. I don't know what exactly this is going to look like. All I know is that together we've got this. Together we've got this. And so our first meeting is going to be a water blessing on Lake Michigan, September 23rd. Is it the 3rd or the 4th?
The 23rd, I'm pretty sure.
Saturday, September 23rd in Michigan City. And we will be getting together to do a ceremony for our waters, but we are also Angelina is going to be guiding us through a meditation to sit and listen to what our waters and our lands are speaking through us. Yeah. And what is needed of us. What are these services as doulas to each other? We're all doulas. And how do we doula our land, our people, and take care of our children and our elders, our special needs, and one another, and our men, our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful men, and everybody in between, however we maneuver on this land, however you show up. We know that this whole gender thing is getting very fluid, and it's amazing and it's beautiful, and all expressions are loved and accepted. But the point is that we have to figure out how to unify. Yeah. Connect. Not separate, unify. Connections. And so this is a movement led by the womb, but for all. Right. Anything else you want to add? Connecting. Yeah. As you're talking, I'm feeling more, because it's like, what is it? What is Great Lakes Rose Temple? What is it doing? It's connecting people from birth through life all the way to death. We have birth doulas, we have death doulas, and then we need to connect people and get people assistance and help and support and just connection, period. Mm-hmm. Addiction, recovery. Right. We want a midwife. We want to midwife this ship. We want to be able to have resources to help and have connections to help. And really, like, fundraising has really been a thing that keeps coming up. So learning so we need all of these pieces and these parts. So we're asking help. If you want to be involved and you know about grants and you're great at technology, however you can donate your time, your love, and your resources. If this is for you, it's going to speak. It's going to speak to you. It's going to speak to your heart. Yeah. It's going to speak to your connection. So with all of us, but yeah, we, I don't know. Some days I'm like, this is just too big, but like anything, you just got to start and go, and someone's got to believe in you. And guess what? This, like I said about this one, putting her bootstraps on, man, she's my, she's my one. I dig in there. I was a doula. She digs in there. I know how to do it. I know how to be like, yeah, come on, you can do this. I know how it feels. And, and one of the things we talked about this morning that I almost forgot was the death experience, and how COVID made us face our mortality. Oof. Even those of us who didn't catch it or didn't know someone personally who passed, our mortality and the sort of threat, I guess you could say, of death was in our faces. I mean, it was really being pushed at us over the news even. You could die. Well, what does that mean? And
I recently went through a ceremony where I was able to stand at a doorway and look at my own death in a way that I never could have imagined. It felt so real and so final, and I just have such respect now for people who have crossed over, or people who are in transition to crossing over. That is like the grandest journey, to be able to leave everything behind, leave your life, your name, all your possessions, everyone you've ever known, your family, and to step into a realm where you don't come back. You don't get to say, no, I opt out. That's, as Alan Watts said, it's a very noble, I think he used the word noble thing, to actually cross over. You know, the
Yeah.
death is a noble experience. And
Yes.
so
Absolutely. And as a death doula, and I know in the ages that we're in right now, there's a lot like, we don't die. We, for there are many people who are on their spirit journey, who grasp and who understand that we are energy and that all is energy and that energy moves on. But a part of what we're stepping into now is how to have empathy, how to not be disregarding. And nature shows us that there is. So there's this really cute duality that we came here to experience, that everything is, everything isn't. So while there is no death and we are energy that does continue to move on and be beautiful and do its thing, we endure many deaths and rebirths. And I believe all these little rebirths are preparing us to have our beautiful grand walk across the veil and to shed this particular body. And through different practices, we're told that can get easier and easier. I was actually at Unity Church of Flint, where I love to attend and share my voice sometimes. I was speaking with Reverend Mary, one of our elders, and she shared a little quick story with me that was really, oh my gosh, it was like so amazing. So her mother was in a home, and she was getting ready to go, and she made all friends with the nurses and all this and that, and she crossed, and Mary wanted to connect with her, and I believe one of the nurses had some mediumship capabilities and was able to tap into her energy and her spirit. And so Mary's like, yeah, I believed her, but she started to speak about stuff that, is definitely her mom's energy. And then her mom gave her a message, and it went like this: had she known it was so easy, she'd have done it sooner.
That sounds like Reverend Mary. Oh my gosh. Isn't
that great? I thought, I've never heard that message from the spirit world before. I think that is like amazing. So that has really been with me. We like really make the unknown so much harder than it needs to be. It's like, just show up. Here we go. Let's do it.
Breathing. Relax. Keep breathing. Hold each other's hands if you need to, but don't stop saying we.
Thank you so much for being the opener, the gateway, holding my hand in this experience. Thank you for companioning this show. Thank you for companioning the people who decide to tune in and be with us. You're a beautiful doula. It is an honor to be your friend.
Thank you.
And journey mate. Yes. So this concludes our first episode of Under the Willow Tree. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Take a bow. Yay. Thank you, Todd. Thank you to our producer, Todd Medina.
Yes.
We appreciate you, Todd.
And actually all that is involved in the production, this definitely takes many people to work together. Graphics, Marina, she's amazing. I want to say thank you to you out loud and publicly, because you also just your presence has been so beautiful as we've been getting ready to launch, and your encouragement and belief in this show has been really beautiful. So I really appreciate your companionship on this ride as well. So yeah. And then Lauren, my partner, set me all up.
Yep.
Set me all up here. I got this groovy setup in here. It's great.
And I am in Matt's apartment borrowing his Wi-Fi. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, so the masculine are over here just holding us up. We got Todd holding us up. We love that masculine energy. And it's so beautiful, so that we could just pour inside of it and be the messengers we were meant to be.
Yeah. Yay.
Mm.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, ladies.